Hey, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Shem Yashai, Bahashim Makavadash, the one sleep, Pastor Jim, Great Millstone, Shalom to the elect. Alright. As you can see from the title, alright, it says TSA urges consumers to change identification as Real ID deadline draws near. And this is from the CBS News website, alright, dated August 22nd, 2019. Alright. And look at the trickery of Esau, alright. The Transportation Security Administration is rolling out a new public awareness campaign for Real ID as the deadline to swap draws near. Travelers will not be able to board a flight without a Real ID or alternative identification starting October 1st, 2020. Alright, man. Alright. You heard it there, man. Alright. So meaning your regular IDs are gonna be no good until next year, all right, October 1st, all right. So after October 1st, your regular, driver's license or whatever, your regular ID won't be good anymore, because now what Esau wants to push out is his Real ID, all right. And that, is going to trickle down to the RFID chip, all right, because they're going to soon get rid of the Real ID, all right, and tell people now you're going to have to, if you want to get into a federal building, or you want to travel outside the United States or whatever, buy, of course, you're going to have this RFID chip, all right, because the RFID chip is going to be connected with everything. You won't be able to maneuver in the society without it. You won't be able to do anything, all right. You can't work. You can't buy, sell. All right, travel if you want. All right, so this is real big, man. All right, people don't see how this is connected to the RFID chip. All right, they don't see how important this is. All right, but then again, this is a device that the so-called white man Esau is deceiving the world to, man. Because this is really, this has nothing to do with security, man. This has to do with enslaving you. All right. And tracking you, your every move, doing what you're gonna know what you're doing, know where you at all times. All right. It says we want the public to make sure they're aware. It's just another layer of security, which is bullshit. All right. It says Thomas Siller, TSA Transportation Safety Manager, told CBS News, Congress passed the Real ID Act into law in 2005 following a recommendation from the 9/11 Commission, setting national security standards for state drivers' license and IDs. All right, so there you go, man. All right, this was implemented in 2005. All right, so it's been how many years? All right, it says that they wanted to push this out, and now this is gonna be nationwide, man. All right, or if not nationwide, certain states, or maybe nationwide. I have to look into it more, but all right, it says enforcement of those requirements, however, has repeatedly been delayed. Real IDs require state applications to submit paperwork to prove who they are and their established residence in the U.S. TSA Administrator David Petkowski said the move to Real ID will dramatically improve commercial aviation security. The TSA, however, is starting the new awareness campaign push early to avoid a bigger rush at local DMVs. So this is going to cause a big, DMV, man. All right, big line, but you're still gonna be able to use your regular ID in certain things. But if you want to travel outside the U.S. or travel at all, you're gonna have to get that Real ID. So they're forcing you, all right? They're forcing it upon the masses of the people that they have to get this. It's a necessity, all right? Or you won't be able to travel, all right? And the same thing goes with the RFID chip, all right? Sooner or later, they're going to do away with this Real ID or the credit cards and all that stuff, your phone. And they're going to say you're going to have to, this is the new way of buying, all right, of traveling, all right, of operating your vehicle, operating a gun, all right, is to have that RFID chip, okay? It says, if you don't get it done as early as possible, everybody's going to be rushing at the last minute, and we don't want somebody to get in a situation where they come to the airport ready to fly on vacation and suddenly they can't get through. who opposes real ID? It says without a real ID, travelers won't be able to board a flight unless they have an alternative enhanced identification, such as passports. Those with the real ID are also able to access federal facilities and nuclear power plants. You see? All right, so this is going to trickle down to the RFID chip. All right? You see? And you won't be able to travel, all right, unless you have you know, that real ID, man. All right? But the real ID is just a push to a next step to the RFID chip. It says states have city concerns with real ID requirements in the law that includes storing images of documents that driver's license applicants present as proof of their identity, such as their birth certificate. State officials say that information could be breached and cannot be used to track law-abiding U.S. citizens. You see, man? All right? Well, let me read that again. It says states have city concerns with real ID requirements in the law that includes storage images of documents that driver license applicants present as proof of their identity, such as their birth certificates. State officials say that information could be breached and could be used to track law-abiding U.S. citizens. Okay? It says they also oppose the U.S. government unilaterally setting standards in an area traditionally handled by the states. All right, so this is what, the real ID looks like. All right, something of this sort. All right, of course it's gonna be different for every state. All right, might look different, but might not. But all right, you can see the guy's name, guy's picture. I mean, how much more identification? I mean, this thing's almost similar to a regular driver's license. Right? That's this whole real ID is bullshit, man. All right? If you got a picture of your license with a picture of you, what other identifications do you need, man? All right? But then this is a lying to the people, man. All right? This is real ID complement. Cards are generally marked with a star symbol located in the upper portion of the card. Some areas will have state-specific stars for their real ID, so looks may differ from state to state. All right? Like I said, it says most states have already begun issuing ID cards under real ID requirements. 4 states, Oregon, Oklahoma, New Jersey, and Maine, have extensions and are expected to be in compliance later this year. All right, so you see, it's being mandatory, man. All right, well, you need to get a real ID. Each state differs in what exactly you need to bring along to get a certified real ID. Typically, a DMV will require your social security card, a birth certificate, another form of government-issued ID, and proof of residency. Okay, so there you go, man. All right, and I'll leave the article, the link in the description, for you to look at, look at it yourself and watch the video. But we're getting close to that RFID chip, man. All right, this is just a step to it. All right. With that, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kakadash. Shalom.